We have a crisis in the world, tremendous crisis, and also crisis in our consciousness, in us. I see the urgency of change, radical revolution, mutation in the mind. I see it. It is necessary. There is complete quietness of the mind, and that which is silent has vast space. Only then that which is nameless comes into being.
This is Urgency of Change, the Krishnamurti podcast. Though concentration is necessary, meditation involves much more than concentration or the control of thought. Hello and welcome to episode 246 of Urgency of Change. Each episode of the Krishnamurti podcast features carefully selected clips from the philosopher's talks. The aim is to represent different aspects of Krishnamurti's radical approach to issues and questions we all face in our lives. This week's theme is concentration. Upcoming themes are inquiry, duality, and isolation. This is a podcast from Krishnamurti Foundation Trust. Please visit the official YouTube channel for hundreds of full-length video and audio recordings of Krishnamurti's talks and discussions. In addition, the Foundation's own channel features a large collection of specially selected clips. You can also find our regular quotes and videos on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Krishnamurti Foundation Trust. If you enjoy the podcast, please leave a review or rating on your podcast app, which helps our visibility. This week's episode on concentration has 3 sections. This first extract is from the second question and answer meeting in Ojai in 1982 and is titled Concentration and Attention.
What do we mean by attention? What is the difference between awareness, concentration, and attention? Could we go into that together? To be aware is when he's sitting under these beautiful trees on a lovely morning, nice and cool, not too hot. When he's aware of that woodpecker picking away, when he's aware of the green lawn, the beautiful trees and sunlight, the spotted lights, and if you are looking from that direction, you are aware of those mountains. How does one look at them? How do you look at this marvelous sight, the beauty of this place? What does it mean to you? Do you observe it, aware of it, without any choice, without any desire, just to observe the extraordinary beauty of the land? And when you observe so easily, aware of all this, the light and the shade, the branches, the darkness of the trunks, and the light on the leaf, and the extension of this marvelous earth. How does one react to all that? What is the feeling behind that awareness? Is that beauty of that land and the hills and the shadows, is it related to our life? Is it part of our life? Or it is there to be observed. If you're a poet, you write about it. If you're an artist, you paint it. Or if you're good at conversation or description, you put it into words. But this beauty, this awareness of this, what is its relationship to one's life? That's part of awareness. The awareness of the external and the awareness of one's own reactions to the external, and to be aware of the movement of this. As you're sitting there, or you're aware of the colors, other shirts or robes or whatever the ladies wear, are you aware of all that? Or when we are aware, is there always a choice? I prefer this land to another land. I prefer this valley to other valleys. So there is always memory and choice operating. And can one be aware without any choice at all, just to be aware of the extraordinary sense of the blue sky through the leaves, and just move with it all. And is one aware of one's reactions? And when one is aware of one's reactions, is there a preference? One more desirable than the other. One is more urgent than the other. One is more continuous, habitual, and so on. So from the outer, move to the inner. You understand what I'm saying? So that there is no division between the outer and the inner. It's like a tide going out and coming in. There's an awareness of this world outside of us, and an awareness of the world deep inside of us, conscious as well as the unconscious. When one is really deeply conscious or aware, there is no remnant or hidden unconscious movement. I don't know if you have gone through all this, if you have done it. Not merely listen to a lot of words. So, awareness is this movement of the outer and the inner, and discover for oneself whether there is a division between the outer and the inner. Of course, there is a division between the tree and myself. I am not the tree, I hope. But in observing that thing which we call tree, to discover our reactions to it, how we react to beauty, to ugliness, to brutality, to violence, to competition and quietness and so on. And what do we mean by a concentration? Because they're all related. Attention, awareness, concentration, and attention. What is concentration? To concentrate upon a page, upon a picture, to concentrate all one's energy upon a particular point. In that concentration, is there not the effort to concentrate? Whereas effort to concentrate, that is, you're trying to read a particular page and out of the window you see a marvelous light on a flower and your thought wanders off to that. But you try to pull that thought back and concentrate on something. So there is this constant struggle to focus one's energy, visual, and so on. So there is a resistance, a struggle, and all the time trying to focus on a particular point. Are we meeting? This is right, isn't it? When we talk about attention, about concentration. The questioner asks, attention happens occasionally, and how is one to nourish that attention so that it is continuous, not haphazard? So we're asking, what is attention? To attend. Are you interested in the question? To attend to that woodpecker. Did you listen to that woodpecker? There it is. In concentration, there is always one who tries to concentrate. And in that concentration, there is an effort and control. So there is a controller and a controlled in concentration. Well, I hope you see this for yourself. There is the controller who is trying to focus his thought on a particular subject. But thought is all the time moving, wandering around, and so he tries to control it. And in that control there is a form of resistance. There is a division between the controller and the controlled. And so there is an effort, a sense of division. Where there is division, there must be conflict between the controller and the controlled. That is generally what we call concentration. Now, is there in attention this division? You follow? The controller trying to attend. And therefore there is a division between the thought that says, I must attend. I must learn how to sustain attention or nourish it. I hope you're following all this. So, is there in attention a center from which you attend? Or when you listen to that woodpecker, you are listening. So is there in attention an entity who is attending, or there is only attention, which means attending with your listening, perception, seeing, and giving all your energy to attend to something. Are you listening attentively now? Listening to the speaker, what he is saying about attention. Are you actually listening? And when you really listen, there is no center as the me who is listening. You follow this? Is this right? Whereas there is always a center in concentration. We are saying attention has no center and therefore extensive. And it cannot be nourished. You attend if you're listening, if there is an intensity. You can't, it's attending. Is this fairly clear? Good. So, really, awareness without choice, a choiceless awareness and concentration, and this sense of extensive, vast attention. Attention has no periphery, whereas concentration is limited.
The second extract is from Krishnamurti's 7th talk in Saanen, 1981, and is titled Concentration and Control.
Meditation demands attention, right? To attend, which is to give your whole capacity, energy, in observation. Attention is different from concentration. I hope you are following all this. Are we together in this? Concentration is an effort made by thought to focus its capacity as energy on a particular point, right? Right? That is concentration. When you are in a school, the teacher says concentrate on your book. Don't look out of the window, look at your beastly book. And concentrate. You are trained to concentrate. That is to bring all your energy to a particular point. Which means in that concentration, you are not allowing any kind of other thoughts to interfere, right? That is to control. Concentration implies controlling thought, not to wander away, right? I hope you're following. But to focus your thought on a particular subject, on a particular page, on a particular picture, which is thought says that it's important to focus my attention, focus my energy on that. Right? It is the operation of thought. I wonder if you're right. Are with me? It's the operation of thought in which there is compulsion, control, which says, look. So, in concentration, please understand this carefully if you don't mind. In concentration, there is the controller and the controlled. Right? My thought is wandering off. I say it should not wander off. I bring it back, the controller, who says I must concentrate on this. So there is a controller and a controlled. Right? Who is the controller? The controller is part of thought. The controller is the past. Right? The controller who says, I have learnt a great deal, and it's important for me, the controller, to control thought. That is, thought has divided itself as the controller and the controlled. So that it's a trick that thought is playing upon itself. I wonder if you see all this. Right? Please, we must understand this very carefully, because in attention there is no controller, nor the controlled. There is only attention. So it requires a careful examination into the nature of concentration with its controller and the control. Right? All our life, there is this controller. I must do this, I must not do that. I must control my desires, control my anger, control my impetus, control. Therefore, I gradually learn to inhibit myself. And there are those people who say, don't inhibit, do whatever you like. Right? That's the game also being played by the gurus. So, one must be very clear in understanding what is concentration and what is attention. As we are pointing out, in attention, that is to attend, there is no control. Please understand this, because as we're going to find out presently, is there a way of living our daily life in which there is no control? Right? As part of meditation. I wonder if is a question one must ask oneself. Is there in daily existence a way of living in which every form of control doesn't exist at all? Because control means effort. Control means division between the controller and the controlled. I'm angry, I must control my anger. I smoke, I must not smoke, and I must resist smoking. Right? And so on, so on, so on. what we are saying is something totally different, and therefore it may be misunderstood and may be rejected altogether, which is very common. Because we say, well, all life is control. If you don't control, you will become permissive, nonsensical, it has no meaning. Therefore, you must control. Right? Religions, philosophy, your teachers, your family, mother, control. But we have never inquired into who is the controller. The controller is put together in the past. The past is the knowledge, which is thought. Thought has separated itself as the controller and the controlled. And concentration is all that. And in understanding that, we are asking much more fundamental question, which is, can one live in this world without family, all the rest of it, without a shadow of control? Right? First of all, see the beauty of that question. Because our brain is trained for 1,000 years to inhibit, to control. It's never operating with the wholeness of the brain. Right? See what it is doing for yourself. You're not learning from me, from the speaker. You are watching your own brain in operation. Rationally, critical examination, in which there is no deception, hypnosis, and so on. And most of the meditations that have been put forward from the Asiatic world is to control thought, so that you have a mind that is at peace. You have a mind that is quiet, not eternally chattering. Because silence, quietness, absolute stillness of the brain is necessary in order to perceive. Right? Therefore, all the types of meditation, however subtle, have the root basis to control. Or hand yourself over to some guru, to some idea. Right? And forget yourself. Because you have given yourself over to something, and therefore you are at peace, which is again the movement of thought, desire, and the excitement of something you have offered and been accepted. You follow all this? So whereas attention is something entirely different. It is not the opposite of concentration. Right? If it is the opposite, then the opposite has its root in its own opposite. Right? If love is the opposite of hate, then love is born out of hate. Right? I wonder if you see this. Any opposite has its root in its own opposite. So we are saying that attention is not the opposite of concentration. It has totally divorced from it. So we are going to inquire together what is attention. Does it need effort? Right? That is one of our principal activities. I must make an effort. I am lazy. I don't want to get up this morning, but I must get up. Make an effort. Right? I don't want to do something, but I must. I'm getting tired of this. See how extraordinary that we cannot catch the significance of it immediately. It has to be explained. We seem to be incapable of direct perception between concentration camps, concentration and attention. Right? To have an insight into attention and be attentive. Well, we'll go into it. When does attention take place? Obviously not through effort. Right? When you make an effort to be attentive, it is an indication that you are inattentive and trying to make that inattention become attention. You understand? I'm tired of this explanation. Personally, I've never learned about any of all this nonsense. Personally, nobody explained all this to me. Thank God. Personally, I've never read about all this. It wouldn't be authentic, it has no meaning. But to have quick insight, you understand? To see instantly the falseness of all religious organizations, all of them. And therefore, you're out of it. To see instantly that the observer is the observed. And therefore, no effort is, it's so. It's only effort exists when there's division. You follow? So, does it indicate our brains have become so dull? Because we have been trained, you follow? So that it has lost its pristine quickness. Its capacity to see directly and without all the explanations and words. But unfortunately, one has to go into this because our minds, our brains cannot grasp instantly, for example, that truth has no path. You understand? To see the immensity of that statement, the beauty of that statement, and put aside all paths. The Asiatic, the Western, the North, South, East, West. So that your brain becomes extraordinarily active. one of the difficulties is that we are becoming mechanical. The computer is learning more quickly than we are learning. The computer can go so far ahead of us. And so, if our brains are not extraordinarily alive and active, our brains will gradually wither away. Because now we exist because we have to think, we have to be active, partially. But when that computer can take all the work, all the thought, most of the thought, and operate at a rapidity which the brain cannot, then the brain is going to wither. You understand? Please realize all this. This is happening. It's not an exaggerated statement of the speaker. It is happening now. We are unaware of it. So, we are inquiring into what is attention. In concentration, there is always a center from which you are acting. Right? You can see it. Right? This is clear. When I concentrate, I am concentrating for some benefit, for some deep-rooted motive, for something to gain and so on, which is from a center I am observing. Whereas in attention, there is no center at all. When you look at something immense like the mountains, their extraordinary majesty, the beauty of the valley, the line against the blue sky, the beauty of it, for a moment drives out the center. Haven't you noticed this? And you are, for a second, stunned by the greatness of it. Beauty is that perception when the center is not. You understand? You understand? Like a child given a toy, he's so absorbed by the toy, he's no longer being mischievous, he's completely with the toy. But he breaks the toy and he's back to himself. Right? So most of us are absorbed by various toys. And when the toys go, we are back to ourselves. Now, in the understanding of ourselves without the toy, right? That understanding without any direction, without any motive, that very understanding is the freedom from specialization which makes the whole of the brain active. Now, the whole of the brain, when it's active, is total attention. Right? Look, I point out something else. Oh, Lord. We're always looking or feeling with one of the senses, right? I like the taste of something. Or hear some music but I never One never listens one never looks at anything with all your senses. Right? Have you ever done it? For God's sake. When you look at a mountain, because of its majesty, your senses are fully on operation. Therefore, you forget yourself. You understand? Now, when you look at the movement of the sea or the water or the sky and the slip of a moon, when you look at it totally, with all your senses, that is complete attention, in which there is no center. Which means that attention is total silence of the brain that is no longer chattering, completely still. Is it taking place with you now? Is your brain completely still? Because we are talking about a stillness, absolute silence of the mind, of the brain. Because there are various forms of silence. The silence between two noises. The silence between two notes. The silence between thought. Right? The silence when you go into a forest where there is great danger of a dangerous animal. Everything becomes totally silent. I don't know if you haven't. Here you have killed everything. So, this silence is not put together by thought or through fear. When you are really frightened, your whole body, your nerves, your brain becomes... Haven't you noticed it? Oh Lord. So this is not that quality of silence, it's entirely different. It is the operation of the whole of the brain, with all its senses active. It is that freedom which brings about total silence of the mind. And it is only such a mind, such a brain, mind-brain. I don't want to divide it into two for the moment, we'll stick to the brain. Such a brain that is absolutely quiet, not brought about by effort, determination, by desire, by motive. It is the freedom of order, which is virtue, righteousness in behavior. And in that silence alone, there is that which is nameless and timeless. That is meditation.
The final extract in this episode is from the third talk in Claremont, 1968, and is titled Concentration and Meditation.
So we shall look, explore together into this question of life, existence, in which is included all relationship, love and death. And to understand it not merely as a phenomena, but as something tremendously significant, greatly to be cherished, deeply lived. To do that, meditation is the approach to this problem of living. Either you can treat meditation as an escape from life, that is, retire into some monastery, put on a garb of some special kind, and withdraw from the whole complex life. And there are such schools which offer escapes, both in India and in Asia. There are these schools which offer a method, a system, a way which will give perhaps a great sensitivity, perhaps if one is sufficiently silly enough to have visions, to perpetuate the same old sordid life, and escape altogether into some mysterious metaphysical existence. There is that approach to that word with its meaning. Or meditation is the living, not an escape, not an abstraction of life with all its delight, with its sorrow and despair. And an escape, an avoidance, a metaphysical, mystical, non-realistic but romantic escape. So we are not, at least the speaker is not, using that word as a means of escape, but rather to understand the very existence, the whole meaning of life. I think that has great meaning. And meditation becomes then a benediction, an extraordinary thing that one must understand very deeply. And if one has time this evening, afternoon, or whatever it is, we might perhaps go into it together. Because that word has now become the fashion. To talk about meditation, it's almost on every lip. It is even in the New Yorker. And every I don't know what to call them, long-haired gentlemen, talk about it. They offer a system, a few words by repetition of which, or the practice of that method, you're going to transcend all your sorrow and achieve some extraordinary reality, which is obviously nonsense. Because a stupid mind, a dull mind, a mind that is conditioned, heavily sodden by its own prejudices and superstitions and conclusions, a dull mind can meditate indefinitely, following a certain method, and it will still remain a dull mind. So we can intelligently, objectively, push all that aside. The method, the how, the pattern set down by the ancients or by the modern yogi with all his pretensions, offering for a certain sum of money the absurdity for exchange of what is called enlightenment. We can, in examining it, see its futility. So we won't in any way concern or be involved in those forms of escapes which is called meditation. So let's be very clear from the very beginning that meditation is not an entertainment. It's not something that you purchase from another, whatever the price be. It is not the acceptance of authority of any kind, including that of the speaker, and especially that of the speaker. Because in understanding this extraordinary problem of living, there is no one authority, no teacher, no master, no guru, because they have all failed. Because each one of us is in travail, is in sorrow, confused, miserable, striving. And it is important, essential that we understand that, and not some mysterious vision. And visions are very easily explained. Mind can produce, believe in anything, and convince itself of anything. And it can play any trick through drugs, through repetition of words, through various forms of self-hypnosis. So, we are concerned with life, with the living of that life of every day, the struggle, the pain, the fleeting pleasures, the fears, the despair, the sorrow, the loneliness, the utter absence of love, the crude and subtle forms of selfishness. And of course, there is the ultimate fear of death. So that is what we are concerned. And to understand that deeply, with all the passion that is necessary, meditation is the key, not given by another, not to be put together by any book, by any philosopher, by any specialist. And the quality of meditation is important. The word itself means to ponder over, think over, enter deeply into the issue. So, meditation then is not what to do or how to think or how to control the mind so that it is quiet, silent, but rather in the very understanding of all these problems, the beauty of silence comes into being. For without beauty in life, not the beauty in those mountains, in those trees, in the light on the water or on the bird on the wing, but the beauty in living. To come upon that in daily life, whether it is in the office or at home, or when you're walking by yourself, communing with nature and with the world. If there is no beauty, then life, the very living, has no significance whatsoever. So, if you will, we will together go into this question, not only objectively, outwardly, and also inwardly. The outward movement is the inward movement. The two are not separate. The outgoing tide and the incoming tide. To understand both, not separate, not divided, is the whole question of meditation. The complete harmony, the complete balance, the total way of living in which there is no contradiction, is the way of meditation, is the meditative mind. In meditation, there is involved many things. First, the whole concept of concentration. I hope you're interested in this. If you're not, tant pis, I can't help it. Because it's one of the most essential things. If a mind doesn't know how to meditate, if you do not know how to live, and you consider living is just going to the office, having a car, leading a superficial life, spending an evening drinking cocktails, or going to a cinema, or being entertained, if that is all life, then your life is very shallow, empty, dull. And unfortunately, modern civilization, especially in this country, is becoming more and more standardized, superficial. You may have all the things of the world, good health, good bathrooms, good food, good cars, but without an inward life. Not the second-hand inward life of another, but the inward life of your own, which you have discovered, which you have cherished, which you are living, which is meditation. Without that, we'll not only have wars, more destruction and more misery. So meditation, whether you like it or not, is important for every human being. Whether it's highly sophisticated or a simple person by the wayside. So I hope we can together this afternoon take this journey together. Meditation involves concentration. And concentration, as one observes, is a way of exclusion. That is, concentration implies forcing thought in one particular directed direction, excluding all else. That is generally what is meant by concentration. To concentrate upon, to direct, to focus your mind. And in doing that, you exclude, you put a barrier, build a wall, so that no other element, thought, influence enters. And in doing that, there is a dualistic process at work, a division, a contradiction, which is fairly obvious, into which we need not go, because our time is very limited and we have to deal in this hour a great deal. So meditation is something other than concentration. Though concentration is necessary, meditation involves much more than concentration or control of thought. And it involves attention, not concentration, to attend. That means to give your mind, your heart, your body passionately to attend to something. In that attention, if you observe very carefully, there is neither the thinker nor the thought, neither the observer nor the observed, but only a state of attention. And to attend so completely, so fully, there must be freedom. So here begins the whole problem. That is to attend completely, both intellectually, emotionally, with your eyes, with all the response, awakened response, and being aware of those responses, from which comes freedom. It's only a mind that's completely free that can attend, and that is not so difficult. Don't give it an extraordinary meaning. It's very simple. If you listen to something attentively, whether it is to music, or when the coyotes of an evening call to each other with that weird cry, or when you listen to a bird, or when you listen to the voice of your wife or your husband, to give attention to it. And you do when the challenge is very great, immediate. Then you listen most extraordinarily. When you listen when it's profitable, when it's painful, when you are going to get something out of it. But when there is a reward in that listening, there is always the fear of losing. So, in attention, there is freedom. A free mind is only capable of attention, in which there is no achievement or gaining or losing or fear. And that's necessary, because it's only a quiet, attentive mind that can understand this immense problem of living. It's only the quiet, meditative mind that can come upon what's called love,